I got to go with this.
But Lenin, it was always Lenin, the man who sacrificed himself for the good of the world. Not ever did it occur to me that that was the real Lenin, just as murderous and just as bad as his successor Stalin. I was born right there, which today is the easternmost part, easternmost part of Germany. That fat little girl was me. The motivation is another thing. Besides ideology, I'm going to just talk about my personal interest. I always wanted to travel, and I wanted to have an adventurous life. I wanted to be different. And I really like the idea of being able to break all kinds of laws in all kinds of countries. You know, be special, so to speak. But that is sort of the kind of person that I became. There's one thing that's sort of missing, or it's hidden under emotional stability, that is hardness of the heart. And the KGB had a helper. That was my first girlfriend. That was in high school. I was in love with her. I was going to get married to her. This was like, I mean, she was my world. And then when she went to college over there and I went to college over here, she wrote me this goodbye letter, and I was totally, totally devastated. I mean, my life pretty much made no sense anymore, but I buried myself in my studies. I didn't look at another girl for another 3 years. And I promised myself that the four-letter word, L-O-V-E, would not be a big factor in my life. I would be looking out for myself. I would have a career. I would have a good life. And if there were women in my life, be for pleasure. But love, that hurts too much. Headquarters, that means the center, debated for a while as to whether they should send me or not because I'm too tall. I met a colleague of mine. He fits the description a whole lot better. One of the 10 that were sent over in the same time frame. He's about this tall, and you wouldn't notice him. When he steps into the room, he wasn't there. That was the perfect undercover agent. Wound up in New York in 1978, one of the best trained agents that they ever sent. I had 5 years worth of training. And now I'm going to let you in on a few little things about what it was like to be a spy. You know, you see, every time you have a different passport, you have to remember who you are. You know, what's your name, where you come from, where do you live, what's your job, when were you born, and on and on and on. That hotel building looked a little bit old. I walked into the lobby, and I had more of a funny feeling because the reception desk was protected by plexiglass. And there was a little slot in there where you put the money in and you get the key out. I still didn't have a clue. I didn't really have a good frame of reference that this was unusual. Much later, I found out I was exactly in the center of the south side of Chicago. Drank himself to death, as you might remember. And he was asked in his last days about what was the biggest mistake you ever made in your life? He said, I made a lot. But the biggest one that I really regret is putting this guy in power. That's what we got today. Get to that question, is Russia a friend or a foe? Never was a friend. Doubtful it ever will be. I wouldn't call it foe or enemy, but at least adversary. That's where we are today. And there's no doubt about it. And anybody who thinks that we can make nice, no. But we have to sort of coexist in some way for one reason and one reason only. There are nuclear weapons. The Russian spy, do the chicken lay eggs? This fellow, who was a spy, almost nobody knows him. He did a lot of black ops. He worked behind the scenes. He was present at the exchange of Abel and Gary Powers. He lived a long life, and when he passed away about a year ago, this is what Putin had to say about him. Incredible person and true patriot. So clearly, there's no doubt in my mind that modern-day Russia sees its foundation in the communist Soviet Union. They shed the communist ideology and replace it with nationalism. We're looking at two presidents here. They have red telephones. What made me change my mind and actually defect and said goodbye to the KGB was somebody on a red telephone. That was Chelsea, my 18-month-old daughter. When I was called back, I couldn't leave her. This is who she is today. I'm really proud of her. I said, oh my Lord, I served the wrong cause.